Thanks for listening to WGHST 66.6, and this is Enlightenment with your host, Necronany Crowe.
And this is Lite, Orb-Benson. We would like to thank our sponsors, the Ohio Valley Paranormal Investigation Team, for allowing us to use their wonderful national paranormal radio station for our intriguing show.
Now, this show will always be dedicated to the paranormal, the mythical, and all things new and wondrous and new age in a world. And in other worlds. With this being our first show, we would like you to know us a little better. And in order for you to know us, you have to know where I came from. Now, I don't get the name Necronany from my mother. I get it from my great-great-aunt. She came from a country called Germany. It's not very popular, most people don't know, but it is a country in Europe. Her home was a hostel. Many, many people came through the gates. This story is sometimes very hard to tell.
It's okay, Necronany. We all understand your pain.
She had a coven of witches living there. Now, she did not see them but one time a year, when the moon was bright on All Hallows Eve. This night, they were holding hands and chanting.
It'll be okay, dear.
You are the chosen. They had picked her, my aunt, as the chosen.
She must have been very scared.
She embraced it. Can you believe that?
No, I can't. I would have been scared.
But what this means for me is that it has passed down through generation. Now it has skipped over, but has eventually come down to me. Some would call me a modern-day Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh, now you're being very modest by saying teenage.
Oh, you're so flattering to me. Too much. I'm so glad that we are tender friends.
Tender. Caring. Loving, supportive.
Nurturing.
On with our show.
Yes, we could talk about that for days. But my aunt, the precious Necronany in Germany, this coven of witches had chosen her as the one, and that makes me the chosen as well. Now, what does this mean for me in the paranormal world? How do I fit in? Well, actually, I never fit in. However, I do attend paranormal conventions as myself, as Necronany. I do not hide it, for if I am to be burned at the stake, 'tis better to be burned at the stake. And to be me, to be who my great-great-aunt lived for me to be. And now I can live. I can live forever.
'Tis better. 'Tis better than to burn at the stake.
I was born for this. It has followed me. I carry the scarlet letter of the chosen, and I will do it for her. With that being said, Miss Orb-Benson, would you like to enlighten us a little bit on why you are here and where you fit into the picture?
Well, I must say that as a young child, I always knew that I was different. I just had that third eye, always peering out into the forest of my parents' land. One day I saw a mist, and I followed the mist. I was only 6 years old, but I walked for days on end. By the time I reached the mist, my feet had been bloodied. The mist opened up and allowed me to come in, and inside the mist, I saw this wonderful, wonderful creature, mythical, wonderful creature. I had my own, very own unicorn. I swung myself up onto the unicorn's back, and off we went. It also flew. We flew through many worlds that day, and I was able to see far, far, far into the future, far into the night that you, Necronany, and I met.
That is a very touchy subject, and that night, when I think about that night, I get so nervous. And that night, that was the night that it happened, that I was introduced to what later came to be my most loved paranormal entity.
And what is that entity, Necronany?
Well, it might be best if I start with the beginning of the story.
Okay.
A friend of mine had asked me to attend a local paranormal seminar given by the Mr. Keith Age. Now, this was in Owensboro, Kentucky. If you're familiar, then you would know that this man is not highly sought after in the community, for he has paranormal investigation team out of Louisville, Kentucky. And at this seminar, he brought what was called an ovilus. This is a... Would you like to explain to them what it is?
The ovilus, ladies and gentlemen, is a wonderful, mystical, magical box that speaks. Supposedly, spirits may speak through this wonderful box.
Oh, they do?
And once they speak and one is heard, they begin to manifest.
That is what happened to me on this fearful day. At this meeting with the Mr. Age, the ovilus began to say, Nancy, Nancy chosen, Nancy.
Oh my, you must have been terrified.
Well, at first I did not get the connection. My name is Necronany. It's not Nancy. I am the chosen, but my name's...
Nancy, it's okay. Necronany. Let your emotions out. It's okay to talk about your...
My name's not Nancy.
Necronany, please share with us. What happened next?
Then the Mr. Age moved the box to the back of the room. I was getting very fearful at this point because I felt that the Mr. Age had a kind of a keen eye towards my sensual look. Then the box began...
Oh, Nancy. Necronany, please don't cry. This show is to enlighten. Please let our followers know how things may come about.
Yes, the box, it began to moan, it began to groan, it began to send out urges. The whole room was stuck. The entire room. The entire room was in tears. We didn't know what to expect.
So what happened next, Necronany?
I went home that evening to my all-girls home. I only like to live with other witches, you know. It makes things easier. And so I was at home with the other ladies, and I was in my room listening to some Yanni. It's my favorite. And as I sat there listening to the precious music, I began to see something lift the cover from my bed. Now note, I always wear a long gown. I like to wear things where I can move around, you know, like a gown. But it was long and very long, and it began...
Flowing, wasn't it?
Very flowing, yes. And it began to lift from my body, and I knew then that something with that Mr. Age, it just was not right. And this is where you came in, really.
Yes,
I don't remember.
Indeed it is. You were passed out at this point. You had lost all consciousness. I rushed into the room due to the vision that I had had previously, and catapulted myself. Catapulted myself to the ceiling where I found you.
Why was I
been shafted to the ceiling by this incredibly large manifestation of a demonic man.
Yes, some may call this an incubus. Now, when we say incubus, many people think of the band Incubus.
Yes.
However, it's much serious, much more serious than this. I hate that it's ignored and taken lightly, because an incubus can be something very precious and intimate.
You know, Necronany, 5 out of 10 women have admitted to having relations with incubuses. That's a national poll. Hence, I think I see one now.
Oh, let me tell you, if you did, we would know, we would hear it. But the incubus, it's very intense, and that night that you appeared, you truly came. You saved my life, because this incubus was very large. His muscular, biceps were huge, and his long, flowy hair was intense, and in my mind I could just see a massive native
country?
No, this native country, a massive Native American, dark skin, Team Jake kind of guy, you know what I mean.
No, I'm sorry I don't, but that's okay, because I love you anyway. No matter what your plight has been in life, Necronany, I will always be your special friend.
Well, I must tell you now that this horrible entity that had come that night, that you had truly saved me from, and I believe it was the mist that surrounds you that saved me that night.
Oh, my blessed unicorn.
I like to think that you showed me the light.
I did indeed. I've always had the light inside my head. Sometimes I am able to portray it outside of my head and allow others to see him, to enlighten them as well.
I like to think that maybe you had something to do with that incubus's negative energy. You have changed it, and I have now succumbed to his tender, precious, juicy loins.
Well, I did have a talk with him. I told him, please don't abuse my friend. She is worth more than that. And she's a very powerful witch. You could die from this, is what I told him. And he didn't want to die, so he decided to treat you much better.
I appreciate the love and the support that I get from you,
And I think that my unicorn stabbed him.
Could it be the horn?
It could be.
Unicorn horns are supposedly quite pointy and large.
They're also poisonous.
See, now that is something that I would have never known. It's always great to be, enlightened.
Indeed it is. Now I believe that it's time we hear a word from our sponsor.
Yo! What up, yo? This is the Ohio Valley Paranormal Investigation Team. We are the founders. I'm Amanda Williams.
And this is Lynn Casey.
And we provide free
consultations and some research
and paranormal investigation.
What is paranormal?
You know what the paranormal means?
No.
It is the ghost, the demons, the squatchies, and the chupacabras. Yeah. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
You can contact us at 270-313-2350 or at paranormalit@hotmail.com
or at Ohio Valley Pit on Twitter.
You can tweet us anytime.
Yeah, boy. We want to thank you tonight for listening to Enlightenment. I felt much enlightened. How about you, my friend?
I did indeed. I feel that a whole new world has been opened to me.
I cannot wait for our next episode. Would you please join us as we discuss the love-making habits of the centaur?
This is Lite Orb-Benson saying, "'Tis better to ride a horse than save a cowboy." Indeed, it is.
And this is Necronany Crowe saying, God preserves us from pitchforks, for they make 3 holes. Good evening, folks.
Good day.